What's up, everybody? This is Will Motivation. I'm here with Marko from Whiteboard Finance. Definitely check out his channel. But first things first, why don't you introduce yourself to the Will Motivation Nation?
Thank you. What's going on, everybody? Will, thank you so much for having me, buddy.
Sure.
If you guys don't know, you may have seen Will on my channel. If you don't know my channel, go check it out. It was a great interview. You can probably learn more on Will's channel about real estate investing, but he touched on a lot of good high-level stuff on my channel as well. So just to give you a quick introduction, I'm Marko. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Made the drive down to Columbus.
Appreciate
Only a couple,
it.
Of course, my pleasure, man. It's nice. I get to go down to Columbus. It's like 4 or 5 degrees warmer, so life is good. So yeah, I appreciate you having me, Will. Quick introduction. My name is Marko. Again, I run a channel called Whiteboard Finance. We talk about real estate investing, stock market investing, entrepreneurship, and a little bit of personal finance. These days, I'm going more towards stocks and a little bit towards real estate investing just because it's a low barrier to entry. I was talking to Will, we talked about the barrier to entry with some things is that the price is too high to get into. You can flip cars, you can buy real estate, but sometimes people just may not have money for those kinds of things. People may have a couple $100 lying around, and that's all you need to get started investing in the stock market. So that's primarily the focus of my channel.
Excellent, man. So speaking of the stock market, I got a little bit of experience investing in the stock market, but I'm way far from being an expert. I do know a couple of stock market millionaires. So I want to know how you got into investing in the stock market and what's your background a little bit. Tell your story a little bit.
Absolutely. So my background, I've been investing in the stock market for about 12 years. 30 years old now. I started when I was 18, so it's about to be 13 years, which is crazy.
Sweet.
Time flies, you guys. So I like to say that time in the market is better than timing the market, if that makes sense. You got a lot of people that they want to make these quick come-ups with day trading and stuff like that. You can definitely make money like that. My philosophy is a little bit different. I'm more of a long-term value investor. So I look for companies that are undervalued. That way, if I buy it today, I know, not with 100% guarantee, otherwise I'd be a billionaire, but you know that for the most part those companies are going to do well in the future. So I graduated in December of 2010. It was a bloodbath. For those of you old enough to remember, how the recession was, man, 08, 09. I graduated into a 11% unemployment job market.
Wow.
It was crazy. That's 1 out of every 10 people, you guys had no job. So I started selling cars at 18 years old, and I was also investing in the stock market at that time. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I invested in the stock market when I was 18, but I started selling cars after I graduated college. So I was about 22 when I graduated, and I had a finance degree. I'm bilingual. I had internships. I did everything you're supposed to do, with school. And I ended up selling cars, which is fine because I'm a car guy. I love cars, and I love, this one right behind me too. But, it's like I could have done that without a high school degree. So it's kind of like that got me thinking, like, the only way I'm going to become, financially free or independent or get out of that quote-unquote rat race is if I start investing in stocks, because that's what I see wealthy people do. And we talked about that on my channel. Why reinvent the wheel? Just mimic what wealthy people or successful people do, and you will ultimately become that. So a little bit of stocks. I got a couple rental properties, so I know the language that Will is speaking. And also, I still have a 9 to 5. I'm happily employed at a big bank in Cleveland, so it's a good job, and I work with numbers all day long, so it keeps me sharp. And ultimately, I do have some other revenue from the YouTube channel, which I can get into later. But I think having those multiple streams of revenue is kind of like the goal to keeping you sane. Because with entrepreneurs, man, you got to always have a project going on. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but yeah.
No, the more the better, man. Because what I like to do is provide exposure to different things for my audience. So a lot of people, when I do the videos on real estate investing, a lot of people will ask me, well, do you know anything about investing in cryptocurrency? Do you know anything about investing in the stock market? And I know a little bit more about investing in the stock market, but not very much. And I thought I was going to be a day trader. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I was at my corporate job, I used to bring my laptop to work to day trade. And I didn't know what I was doing.
That was me in college.
So I really would like to know, especially with this, you just launched an online course, right?
It's a membership group.
So if you want to talk a little bit about that, and what I'm excited about is having you on at the beginning of that, and as you kind of start this entrepreneurial journey, because I'm very confident that you're going to be very successful with that.
Thank you.
And so then later on down the road, we'll say, this was then and now look at now.
That's
so
right.
Talk a little bit about your goals, man, and also about what you're doing with your online.
No, I really appreciate that. So what Will is referring to is called the Informed Investor. So the Informed Investor is a stock market membership group. So it's an ongoing membership. It's just like a membership to Planet Fitness, but for your finances, right? So instead of going to the gym, well, you can go to the gym too, maybe before or after, but check out the Informed Investor. So without turning this into a shameless plug, just the value that you get, you guys, I share my personal portfolio. I share daily updates of the trades that I'm making, whether it's a buy or a sell. I have weekly market commentary, so what happened for the week and what I think is going to happen for the upcoming week or for the month. Then we have private live streams every month with all the members in the community. So I'm really trying to turn it into a vibrant stock market community.
Okay.
So it's going to be growing here real quick. So I just launched it last night, believe it or not, and I'm already getting members signed up. It's incredible. So
congratulations.
Thank you very much. But the biggest piece of value, because I don't recommend following anybody's stock investment philosophy. You can use it as a guideline, but don't follow people verbatim. You have to develop your own strategy and get your own thought process.
Right, do your own research.
Exactly. So speaking of research, the biggest piece of value that I can offer in the Informed Investor is the equity research reports. So these are proprietary information. It's my information. I'm sourcing it from a very reputable source. And ultimately, what we're doing is we're doing surveys for industry channels. So like if we're studying Apple, for example, we're not going on the Apple's website and saying, oh, this is what their fundamentals are. Like, oh, their PE ratio is this, their stock price is this. Anybody can do that. We're talking to Apple suppliers. We're calling them on the phone. We're finding out that way if iPhone sales are going to be up or down. So that's just one small example. So the equity research reports alone, I mean, these are Wall Street quality. Yeah, these are probably $1,500, $2,500. But with the number of members I hope to get into the group, that's going to subsidize the cost.
Sweet, dude. So excellent, man. One thing I like to do, right? So a lot of times on my channel, I like to not only talk about real estate, and people can see I got the Lambo and that kind of thing, but I like to talk about specific case studies where it might be one property and what happened with this one property. Can you think of any, either in your story or a story of someone that you've worked with in the past that has like a success story with a particular stock or a particular portfolio or something like that to get people kind of excited or whatever?
Absolutely, yeah. The returns are definitely there. So Canopy Growth, it's actually a cannabis stock. So like I didn't really delve into those penny stocks or those biopharma stocks that explode overnight. But I thought, hey, Canada's talking about legalization. There's a lot of hype online, and actually that's one of my most popular videos. I shot it in December of 2017, and it was the top 3 marijuana stocks for 2018. Okay, so I did a prediction for the year, and you can go back on my channel and see that video. But I actually doubled my money. I made 100% on Canopy Growth. So in literally 1 month. So in 1 month. So I bought it in December of 17, and it literally doubled by January of 18.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't understand that or don't grasp that, doubling your money, that's 100% return on investment.
Correct.
So if you put in 50 grand, and a month later you would have had 100 grand. And the thing that's I think really attractive to people about the stock market is when you get that kind of a return on investment. It's not an everyday thing or an every time thing.
Yeah.
But when you get that, it balances out your portfolio. So wherever you might have not done as well, you get a win like that by having multiple stocks and different stocks, you can come up. And the other thing that's really impressive about that and really exciting about that is that you don't have to, like with real estate, usually you got to get your hands dirty a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to get into the weeds. You got to deal with contractors.
Literally.
And a lot of things that people, a lot of people literally, right? And a lot of people, they make the decision that that's not for them. But there's other investment vehicles. And so, here Marko is talking about an example where probably a lot of my viewers can relate to is the marijuana stock, right? But it's an example of something that's becoming is grass, right? It's just like tobacco is another type of, it's the same, but people invest in tobacco companies, and now you have the opportunity to invest in marijuana companies, and stocks there. But I'm sure there's many other different types of stocks,
Absolutely.
that you do your research on, and you partner with folks like Marko that can provide you with more information so that you can make an informed decision.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and just to your point, it's kind of like, it sounds cliche, but you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. So you want to have a lot of different baskets holding a couple eggs. So what I mean by that is, if you have 10 grand to invest, you don't want to put 10 grand just into one, cannabis stock or one stock in general. That's very risky. You want to have a lot of small positions in multiple stocks. That way, if one does bad, the other does good. They kind of balance themselves out. So it's very well said. Another thing is, I think just with people that are interested about becoming, an entrepreneur, becoming an investor, and whether it's real estate or just coming up or improving their life in general, I think going back to that multiple streams of revenue, I think if you study a little bit of real estate, if you study a little bit of stocks, if you study a little bit of, flipping cars, whatever whatever your hustle is, I think that's really how you increase your wealth pretty quickly.
All right, so I'm going to transition. So we know what Marko does. You guys make sure you go subscribe to his channel, Whiteboard Finance.
Correct. Thank you.
But let's transition into the fun stuff, right? So, and making money is fun, of course. But just from your background, what I always like to do, I do Supercar interviews. What's your dream car?
My dream car?
When everything pops off the way it's supposed to pop off, what's the dream car you're going to get?
The dream car, man? Okay, so this part of me says I have a realistic dream car, and then I have like the dream car.
Oh, no, both of them. Yeah.
Okay, both of them. So the realistic dream car is a E39 M5. So that's an M5 built anywhere from like 97 to 2003. In my opinion, that's one of the best sedans ever made. You can have your baby seat in the back doing 200 miles an hour, with heated seats, But the dream car, man, has got to be the SL55 AMG. Okay. It's just classy. I like it. Like the Lambo, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. I've always been a German car guy, man. It's going to be the drop top SL55 AMG or the SLS, the Gullwing. I mean, that's the dream car right there.
So when you get that, you give me a ride.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. You got to buy lunch though.
Oh yeah, I got you, man. I got you. So yeah, man. I always like to kind of understand, some of the fun stuff like the cars, because I was driven by cars. But what is something else that has motivated you as an entrepreneur? Because like for me, having the end goal, like having a nice car and having a nice lifestyle was one thing, but I was also driven by a fear of being broke, because I grew up kind of poor, and then I was also driven by like the fear of failure. So what were some of your driving factors and what some of the things that do drive you?
That's an excellent question, Will. So my parents are Eastern European immigrants. They moved to Cleveland when they were in their late teens. And my parents didn't move here from Eastern Europe for me to not succeed. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, that's my chip on the shoulder. I'm sure a lot of your viewers, their situation in life may not be the greatest right now, but you can't blame others. You got to be like Will, you guys. You got to just take the bull by the horns and just, learn, increase your knowledge through books, and then, increase your knowledge through resources like Will or even myself at this point. And that's how you succeed, and then you got to jump in. You can't just dip a toe in, you have to go all in. So like running a channel, it's a lot of work, but I love doing it because it doesn't feel like work. So what drives me to succeed is that my parents didn't move here from a different continent for me to be a loser. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Gary Vee talks about that a lot.
Exactly. He's an Eastern European immigrant as well. He's from Belarus. My parents, they're from Eastern Europe. That's one thing. The other thing is I'm married. I have a beautiful wife, knock on wood. I got very lucky. I don't know how. I got lucky, man. That's all I'm going to say.
So that's a driving factor.
That's a driving factor. It's not. So that came off the wrong way. I'm just joking. No. So she's not the one, going shopping and stuff like that. She's awesome. I love her. I got very lucky. But I'm in a position to where, we're looking for our forever home. I want to start a family. I want to be a father, just like you are. And, buying that nicer house just so my kids can grow up nicer than I did, that's my biggest driving factor as well.
Hey, man, excellent, dude. And I got a good feeling that you're going to make it happen, bro.
Thank you.
And it looks like you already are.
Thank you.
So another thing, man, I wanted to touch on, because I wouldn't say I'm a college proponent, but I'm an education proponent.
Absolutely.
So like I really believe that people should invest in themselves through education. So I'm curious as to your thoughts on how having your finance degree maybe helped you. So like in my situation, I got a degree in computer science. Finance and computer science are like two of the hottest degrees that you can get right now, because I'm in that space. I help with my main business. I help people get jobs. And I call those degrees practical because you learn knowledge that you can use in business.
That's right.
Or you can develop, or you can create product with. So like my computer science degree and background, I learned how to write code. And so I wrote millions of lines of code to do things that actually turned out to make me a lot of money, to make me literally millions of dollars. So I'm curious as to what words you have for my viewers about education and your finance degree, and maybe how that helped you in what you're doing now.
Yep. So I will say I still work, 9 to 5, and that's because I got my finance degree. So that pays for the bills. YouTube and all my other sources of income, that's just gravy on top. I can live off of what I make. So to develop a solid career, I think, in this day and age, you really do need to have a college degree. But I think, I'm still of the proponent where I believe like blue collar work is still very necessary, but at the end of the day, you need education, you need a mentor. So even taking an apprenticeship, that can be a form of education. So to Will's point, don't just sit around and play video games all day. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that, but the work you put in, it's kind of like coding, garbage in, garbage out, right? The effort that you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So just by me finishing my finance degree, I'm employable, and even though I don't want to work, the 9 to 5, I have a fallback. That's the safety net, exactly. So it's important to have that base foundation, because if you guys are ambitious and if you're hustlers and you want to be entrepreneurs, it's always good to have that safety net, whether it's family, friends, education. Education will always be your safety net. My mom always told me, they can take, physical possessions, but they can't take what's outside of your, inside your head, excuse me. So yeah, absolutely. That's the safety net, and then you can pursue your bigger goals. And then hopefully one day you can be joining Will.
Dude. And having that finance background, you're going to know all of the ins and outs of when and when it's a good time financially to do something like that. So I think that's great, man. I'm not one of those people that shoves college down people's throat. Like, for example, my daughter's a senior in high school. And I'm saying, you know what, here's what college is good for. And actually, she's looking at going into finance.
Great. It's a great field.
Right? But I said, if you do go to college, pick a degree that gives you a skill. That gives you some knowledge that you can use. Because all the other types of degrees, you can learn on your own.
That's right.
You know, and you're spending money for this kind of thing. And so I always just like to kind of touch on that, man. So I appreciate that insight. So I know we've been talking a while, man, and my main objective was to introduce my audience to you and what you're doing. So if you want to just give some final words about some of the things that you're into and what they can look forward to if they subscribe to your channel.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we have a live stream every Saturday talking about what happened in the market. On Sundays, I consistently recap what happened in the stock market just so you guys get a quick bite-sized view within 10 minutes of what happened for the week and what's most likely going to happen for next week. As we mentioned, I have the membership group called the Informed Investor. That's going to be a ton of value for what the price is. You guys, it's going to be less than a gym membership. And again, all about the topic of knowledge. You're going to get a lot of knowledge out of those equity research reports and also by following my trades and my portfolio. The biggest thing is I give a reason why I'm doing things. I'm not just one of those people that says, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and there's no learning opportunity from that. Giving the reason why helps people learn. So ultimately, we're talking about real estate investing. You guys are already here with Will for that. Personal finance a little bit here and there, and mostly stock market investing. So if you guys are interested, definitely check out the channel. I would appreciate it.
So last point, because I think this is kind of a crucial point, is, and it's something that I like to do as well. You talk about your own investments. I like to talk about my own real estate scenarios, and I give all the numbers on this is how much I paid. These are all the numbers of the house. This is how much money it makes in rental income. So you do that same thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I started to interrupt you, but that's why I respect your channel, man. That's why I respect you.
And likewise. Yeah. Likewise. So that's my pitch for you guys to go check out his channel, is that he does the same type of thing that I do, and he shows his own scenarios with his own investments. And sometimes, you can invest in something and it might not go how you plan for it to go, but the fact that you shared it, and then you can learn from it.
It's a learning experience.
So, man, kudos to you, man.
Thank you. It's never a failure until you learn from it. If you don't learn from it, then it's a failure. But if you fail, and you learn from it, it's just a little cost of education. That's it.
So we want to thank Marko for taking this time to sit down with Motivation Nation. One last time, shout out your channel.
Whiteboard Finance. All right, thank you, brother.
Thanks.
Yep, appreciate it.
Yo, this is Will Motivation. Just wanted to say thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And also feel free to share this video with your friends and be a part of the movement. I'll check you guys out in the next video. Holla.